Hey, so today on Why Am I Sick, I'm going to be testing my water. I use a water filtration system, so it's important for me to show you how that works, so I will do that first. Now you may have seen this in one of my other videos. I have shown this filtration system before. This is the Patriot Pure water filtration system. It's a gravity-fed filtration system, so it works without water pressure or electricity. You take your water that you want to filter and you just pour it right in here. You can see I have 4 filters in here. Just fill it so it covers the top of them. This filter works during power outages, boil advisories, and emergencies, so it's really great to have. Here's an activated charcoal block. The carbon block is surrounded by a microporous ceramic shell infused with silver. Inside the carbon block, there's a specialized layer that helps filter out heavy metals like mercury and lead. So when the water first encounters it, this stage will remove chlorine, chemicals, odors, and taste, and volatile organic compounds. And when this happens, this is what makes the water taste so much better. And this creates an antimicrobial barrier that helps with microbes, parasites, things like that. Also, it inhibits bacterial growth and extends the life of the filter. Now, not all filters are created equal, which is what I'm going to show you today. So these filters also filter out sediment like sand and rust, also industrial compounds. If you have the fluoride reduction filters, they will help filter out fluoride, arsenic, and nitrates. Now you notice it's also stainless steel that helps keep bacteria from growing. These filters can also filter out forever chemicals and microplastics. The pores inside of this filter are usually 0.2 to 0.5 microns. That's really small. But as you know, not all filters are created equally. Now once the water collects, it filters and it moves down to this lower chamber where additional filtration is done. And it should be a slow drip. It takes a while to filter the water. You can actually hear the drip. And you'll know because when you turn on the spigot, the water will come out. Now back to our filters here. These are 10-inch filters. They're a little bit taller than what we'd like, so we have bought replacement filters that are 7-inch. Now this is the first filter we used as a replacement because, as you know, Patriot filters are so expensive. This is a universal filter. It'll fit Berkey and other types of water filters. This is a ceramic filter candle, and it's made by British Berkfield. This is what it looks like. Now we didn't have any noticeable problems with this filter. The water tasted good. It looked clear. We didn't really have any problems until we tried to save more money and switched to an even cheaper filter. This is the filter that's in there now. I'm not sure what brand this is. When we put this filter in, we have 4 of them in there, as you could see. I noticed the water filtered super fast. It just ran right through. You could tell it wasn't taking the time to properly filter the water. And there was a really funny aftertaste that I didn't like. So I stopped drinking the water and now I'm going to test it. So this is the water testing kit that I have, and I'm going to test it now so that we can see what's in the water and see how good this testing kit really is. So right now I'm going to unbox this testing kit. So it looks like a color test. So you can see it tests hardness, chlorine, iron, copper, lead, zinc, manganese, mercury, QAC, fluoride, MPS, sodium chloride, hydrogen sulfate, carbonate, and alkalinity. Here are the directions. And we have 100 test strips. Nitrates and nitrites. So we have 10 testing strips for that. There's the sulfate. We have some bacteria tests. Here's the test tube. Sent us this little guide here. And the chart for comparison. So this is how I'm going to conduct my test. I'm going to use distilled water as my control group because there's nothing in it. And then I will be testing the tap water and the water with the filters. Now this is the filter I'll be testing because this is the one in question today. Next week I'll be testing the British Brickfield because I've ordered more of them and I might as well test them all, right? I just ordered some and I'm waiting for them to come in, but in the meantime we'll get back to our test. This is the distilled water. Now the tap water and the filtered water. Now, if you're going to do this at home, make sure you label them and make sure you don't contaminate these by rinsing these out with tap water before doing the test. I'm going to start with the distilled water because there's nothing in there, like I said. And I don't want to contaminate anything. I've never done this before, so we'll see how it works out. These are our test strips. Make sure you wash your hands before doing this test. This is what they look like. Now, the directions say we're supposed to dip these directly in the water source. Also, this test tube can be used, but I don't really want to contaminate anything between my 3 sources of water. So that's why I've put each one of them into a glass. So after you dip the test strips, the results are ready immediately. After 60 seconds, they're no longer valid. This is going to be a quick test. There's our comparison chart. I'm going to shake this off. There we go. It matches the chart that I'm holding in my hand. And that's the distilled water, so that's to be expected. Now the tap water. Look at that. Now the filtered water. So that is the tap water and the filtered water. The filtered water is on the right. I'm going to repeat this test just to make sure the water wasn't contaminated, because when you touch it, it obviously could contaminate. So I filled this test tube with distilled water, and I'm going to put my strip in there without touching the water. Now, since distilled water is our control group, I'm going to fill this with tap water. Now, it's important not to touch the water while you're doing the test, or you can contaminate things. So you can see there's some chlorine in here. We have hard water. There's a considerable amount of carbonate. I'm going to rinse this test tube with the distilled water. I'm also going to rinse my hands. This is the filtered water. So, as I suspected, the tap water and the filtered water are very similar. The filter is filtering out a little bit of chlorine, but other than that, it's really not doing a whole lot. So, we'll see what the next test brings. So, with that being said, I'm not going to bother with these other tests. The results of those really won't matter anyway because I will not be buying that same filter. We already know it's really not working. We'll test the other one next week. Now, when you buy one of these filters, you want to run a cycle of water through a couple of times before you start drinking it. It's normal for there to be some discoloration from the carbon filter when you first run it through. I would probably do it maybe 3 times. So I have the water quality report for my area. It's really important that you know how to look this up. So I would advise you to contact your local municipality and find out where to find this report. I'm going to look at it and compare it to my results. So you can see these two numbers are really high. This is a byproduct of adding chlorine, so my filter was actually reducing the amount of chlorine, even though that's all it was doing. You can see this is high. So they've added this in order to control microbes. You can see they're still adding fluoride to the water, claiming that it promotes strong teeth. I don't know of anybody's teeth that are deficient in fluoride. There are other minerals that will help remineralize your teeth. Fluoride is not one of them. Fluoride is a halide and a neurotoxin. This number here is at the high end. That's concerning. Now this report is from 2024. This is the most recent report I could find. The other thing I find concerning is unregulated contaminants. What are these? Let's find out. This is from the website Science Direct. They publish a lot of peer-reviewed studies. So this is a byproduct of chlorination of water. And bromoform, here we go. This can cause the slowing down of brain functions and nervous system effects. Long-term effects on the liver and kidney. And it's a probable human carcinogen. Look at that. It's a flame retardant. So they have not done studies on reproductive effects, so we don't know if it causes infertility. Now, bromoform is a chemical compound. It is not an element like bromine. So that would be my next thought. If you're doing research, it's important to connect those kind of dots because bromine can affect the thyroid. It's a halide, just like iodine and chlorine and fluoride, and they all displace each other by atomic weight. So therefore, the receptors in the body will displace iodine, sometimes with bromine. If you're deficient on iodine, but you have bromine, your body will use it. That's not always a good thing. Here you can see the dangers of bromine and exactly what I just suspected. It disrupts the thyroid. You can see here, it competes with iodine. This right here is from the CDC website. You can tell that these chemicals are solvents and flame retardants. I'd love to know why they're in our water and why they're unregulated. Exposure comes from drinking chlorinated water. And they don't know if it's a carcinogen because they've never tested it into people that have been exposed by it. Also notice that it can be absorbed through the skin because they are telling people they can prevent exposure by taking shorter baths or showers in the water that contains these chemicals. Don't forget, the skin is the largest organ of the body, and you can absorb a lot of things through the skin. No more than 0.7 parts per million for drinking water, and 0.5 for bromoform. Look at that, we're over 0.5. 0.7 was the spec for this. So this is too high according to EPA standards. What I didn't do yet, though, is the bacteria test and the nitrates. I'll do that next. Now, this is a 48-hour test. It's got this little pad in here. You're not supposed to open this bag until right before you do the test. We're going to fill water in between these two lines right here. And then we're going to let it sit for 48 hours and see what happens. So here we go. I'm going to put some water in this bag, and now I'm going to seal it up. And it's 3:57 p.m. We will wait 48 hours. So for this one, I'm going to immerse the test strip for 2 seconds, and then I'm going to hold it out for 60 seconds and see if it matches this chart. This is what the test strip looks like. Here we go. 1, 2. Now we're going to wait 60 seconds. It's been about 30 seconds now. So this actually looks good. We're ready to do the sulfate test. I have 10 test strips here. So this is a test for 5 seconds, and then we wait 120 seconds to compare the results. This is what the test strip looks like. I filled my test tube with the filtered water. I'm going to put this right in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have about 250 parts per million. So here we have the bacteria test. It's been 48 hours. You can see it's negative, so it's all good. So it's been a week since I've done the water purity test, and my other filter has arrived, so now it's time to test the new filter. Now we've run about 3 cycles through here. We've filled this up 3 times and run the water through the filter just to make sure there wasn't any sediment or anything in there, just as a precaution. So now it's full again, and we're ready to test. Now I'm going to use the test tube to do this test. Now that I've made a big mess, I have my test tube full. Now I have my test tube. I'm going to take my test strip. I'm going to put it in here. You can see the pH level is higher. We still have a lot of carbonate. This looks pretty good, actually. We do have hard water, as you can see. Now, as you can see, these have gotten a little darker, so that's the end of my test. Now what I'm going to do is compare this test to the one I took earlier, where I know the filter wasn't working, and see what I have. I do have this little scorecard in here. I didn't use it. I'm just going to eyeball it. I took pictures of all of my results so I could do a good comparison. Now the cheap filter that we had, you noticed, went bad. That's why I'm doing this whole water test. I don't think it ever worked in the first place. My water didn't taste very good. That's why I noticed it. So I'm going to taste this water and see if it tastes good. Much better, much better. I can tell this filter is working. Now this is a lot stronger filter than I had in there before. Now you should probably do this at least once a year, maybe more, especially if you have well water. It's important to know what's in your water. So there you have it. Get you one of these, test your water, see what's in it.